Hey, this is Sky, and this is Sky's World. And I wanted to make a video today and talk to you guys about PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. In 1996, I was diagnosed with PTSD by 3 different psychiatrists. And what led me up to it was I was having a hard time dealing with all the violence that I had been around in the life that I had lived. And I can't really go into too much detail in this video about that. You can read my memoir if you want to know more about what I've been through. But I saw a lot of murders. My own father was murdered in a gang war. I've seen guys, get shot down and crawl on the ground screaming, looking me in the eye, help me as they die. Those types of things really fucked me up. So I had to go and see somebody. And I didn't come to that decision lightly. It's not in my nature to go and see therapists or shrinks or anything like that. I wasn't really into it. I was having an incredibly hard time functioning. I was having a hard time sleeping. I was having a hard time in my waking hours. My anger was getting the best of me. I was having all the classic symptoms of PTSD, even though I didn't know it. My friends, you try to bounce stuff off your friends because those are the closest people to you. And I was in my mid-20s, and when you're that age, a lot of people, your friends are everything. My buddies didn't understand. Even homeboys I had that were from the streets that had been through what I've been through, they weren't, I guess they were harder than I was. I was a pussy, I don't know. They weren't having the problems that I was having. And it just goes to show, 2 people could be at an event and take that event completely differently. Some people, they can sleep at night after watching Brains and shit on the sidewalk. They're just like, whatever. And some people get fucked up off it. Well, I got fucked up off it, and it was really hard for me to admit. I kept it secret because I didn't want to be a pussy. I didn't want to be soft. I had this idea of what it meant to be a man in my head, and it was this false notion of this kind of movie gangster bullshit. And I didn't realize how fucked up people were in that lifestyle, how crazy, how much mental illness actually exists. And I felt like I was going crazy. So I decided that I was going to go and get help. I had my mother kind of push me to do it. She's in the mental health field, and she's very pro therapy and all that kind of stuff. So she was like, look, I'll pay for it. You go do it if this is something that you think would help you. So I did it. I put my tail between my legs, and I did it. I didn't tell nobody. I didn't tell my best friends, my roommates, nobody. I just kept it secret. People would wonder where I'm going. I'd have my fucking jacket on, getting ready to get in my Camaro, drive across town to go to my shrink, and motherfuckers would be like, well, where are you going? And, I'd make up a lie. Oh, I got, an appointment. I got this, doctor's appointment, a job interview, whatever. I'm going to go see a friend. I'd just make something up, be gone for an hour, hour and a half. I went to therapy for around 6 or 7 years. It took me a couple therapists. I had to go through 3 of them. I settled on the 3rd one, and he was amazing. And what he did was a process called EMDR, and I don't remember what it stands for, but it is for people with PTSD, and it's a way to work through heavy-duty trauma, real serious shit that Vietnam vets go through, rape survivors, all the list of people that end up with PTSD, but real heavy duty shit. This is the best way to do it. And EMDR has been out for 20-something years now. Back then, we're talking 96, it was brand new. Nobody knew really much about it. It's a legitimate process with a legitimate framework. So it's not just some willy-nilly shit that people make up, holistic fucking life coaches or whatever make up as they go along. This is something psychiatrists do, and they all do kind of the same process. And I'm not going to go into detail of how it works. You can look into that if you're interested at all. But it changed my life. It saved my life. It helped me work through what probably should have been 20 years of hardcore psychotherapy and got me through it in just a short couple of years. And I kept going afterwards. Even after the first couple years, I felt like I was pretty much over this shit, miraculously, where it had ruled my life and fucked me up really horribly before. It was just like amazing. And it wasn't just like a light bulb that came off. It took a couple years. It's like working out. So that's what the first thing I did to tackle my PTSD was to go see a shrink, get diagnosed, and get into regular therapy and to do the EMDR. that really helps. So I'm not going to sit here and suggest to you what you should do for yourself. That's not what this is about. I'm only telling you what I did to help me. If you get a good tip off of this, then hey, that's the whole point of this video. So what I learned also was that dealing and managing PTSD, first of all, PTSD may never go away. It's only about managing it. You may always be triggered. I know I may always have these triggers until the day I die. And I've accepted that about myself, but I've also learned how to manage it. So what used to really fuck me up before, now I see it coming. When I get triggered, which still happens, sometimes you can't always see it coming. Sometimes you step into shit and you gotta wipe it off. You gotta clean your shoe, you gotta figure it out. You know, we've all been there. But I don't let it ruin my day or ruin my life. I would get triggered, and sometimes I would be triggered for weeks on end. It wouldn't just be an hour where I'd be like all weird and everybody would be like, what's up with him? It would last for weeks. I'd be in this other mind frame, this really negative, horrible, self-destructive mind frame, sometimes months. I wouldn't even know it. It just felt like, well, this is who I am. It's a really, really bad way to be, and it's really important to get on top of this, not just to have somebody teach you like in therapy sessions, that's important, but you have to do the work yourself. This is what I did. So I had an insatiable hunger for reading. I started reading every goddamn self-help book, whether it be on PTSD, drug addiction, anger, you name it. I started reading that shit. I could read a whole book and be like, this is stupid, but if I get one sentence out of it, one little paragraph, just a little tidbit where I'm like, ah, man, that shit makes sense. I'm gonna start thinking about that. Then the book was worth it. So, you know, just start reading is what I did, and really start learning about yourself. You know, I made it a big point to recognize what was triggering me and how those triggers worked. I became really hypersensitive towards my diet, towards one of the reasons why I started looking at what I input, whether it be food that makes me anxious. Say, for example, caffeine. When I was drinking coffee from morning until night. I love drinking coffee. Coffee has a lot of caffeine. Caffeine can induce anxiety symptoms. I could be walking around all day with high anxiety, and then when a potential trigger comes along, a scenario that I should be able to just brush off, all of a sudden I'd be triggered as fuck. It would just be like bam, it'd be like a light switch. And it's simply because of all the various things that I'm inputting into myself. Say another one that I had to really check was the music I was listening to. This may not be for you, and I'm not trying to tell you what to do. This was just all stuff I learned about myself. I was listening to gangster rap 24/7. This was back in the 90s. I'm in LA, I'm living in the hood, I'm jamming through the neighborhood listening to gangster rap all the fucking time. And that message of shoot 'em up, shoot 'em up, shoot 'em up, I've seen all that shit. If you've never been through it, you've never done anything like that, put in any kind of real work like that, good for you. And rap music like that, gangster rap, all the NWA and various stuff, yeah, it's just whatever. But when you've seen it, when you're down in those neighborhoods and you're listening to that music and they're talking about where you live and the guys you hang out with and the stuff that you're seeing on a daily basis, it affects you differently. And to me, it would trigger me. And I could listen to a song, a lyric in a song could set me off, and I could be set off, I could be triggered for weeks off of that shit and not even know what's happened. Turn around and be like, God, man, why am I acting this way? Why am I thinking this way? What's wrong with me? Snap out of it. And I wouldn't even know how I got that way. And it's all these various little things that I have to stay up on all the time. It's relentless, and it can feel overwhelming. It can feel like a lot. It feels like for me that sometimes just getting through the day is 10 times as hard as it might be for the next guy, or it might be for you. But this is what I gotta do in order to survive. And for me, it's about having a good day. That's what life is. People have their life goals. I have goals too. I have a motorcycle shop. I have other businesses. I have plans. But my goal in life is to make it through this goddamn day. Make it through today. And when I make it through today and I go to bed and I say, I made it. And I can wake up tomorrow and I have a strict program that I stay on, which is another thing that I suggest. But that, you know, again, I'm not here trying to give advice, but this is what worked for me. So, you know, it really helps me. Every day that you have a good day, they add up. Next thing you know, you turn around and you have a good week. This is so important for people with PTSD to be able to have that kind of outlook. So, you know, another thing that I learned for me was the self-talk. It's all about not being triggered. So, your self-talk, that little voice in your head that runs its fucking mouth all day, blah, 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 talking shit about everything, that's not always the most healthy voice to listen to. That's not your conscience. That's just bullshit, jabbering about nothing, regurgitating what it's seen and heard, and it could be negative, positive, but that's not the real you. That's not worth listening to. This is what meditation is all about, and it's good to release it. So, I learned to notice my self-talk, label it as self-talk. Okay, I'm just thinking bullshit, and let me release it. One way that I do that is I have a little mantra that I made up that I told myself, and I tell myself all day long, all the time, I release thoughts to the universe with loving kindness as they arise. And I imagine physically my thoughts popping out of my head like little bubbles, going in and the bubbles burst and they're gone. I don't care what the thought is. All thought. I'm not saving any of them. All thought gets released. And that way, I always stay in a realm of an observer and less of an experiencer. And what I mean by that is when you have PTSD and it can feel like all these triggers are around you, or if you're already triggered, it can feel like you're experiencing life, you're reacting to it. Just like you were on the battlefield, just like I was in my street life, reacting to everything. That's a weak position to be in. That's a position of weakness. That's a position that's sure for disaster. A better position for me to be in was the realm of the observer. That was a more calm realm. That was a realm that I could control more. And I don't need to be a control freak, but it is better when you have PTSD for me to have a little bit more control of my life, because I've lived such an out of control life. So I don't want to be reactionary to everything. I just want to be able to observe. Label something, okay, this guy's being a jerk, and I can release that. I don't have to be reactionary to him and go to war with every little stupid son of a bitch out there. You're going to lose that war. So there's a lot of tricks that you have to go through and that I've had to learn every single day, all day. The last one, the video's getting a little long, and I could go on for probably about an hour on this. And if it's an interesting topic to anybody out there who has PTSD and wants to hear me talk more, comment below, I'll make another video. But I guess the final thing I'll probably leave you with right here is with, what did we talk about? Self-talk. We talked about, is the program. My program. I stay on a strict program. I try to make every single day the same day. Now let me explain what that means. I like variety, I like adventure. I have lived a very adventurous life. I'm not talking about being a boring motherfucker. But for me, with PTSD, I need a strict program. I need my days to be scheduled out. I write lists every day. You wake up, eat breakfast, go to the gym. I write the list of every goddamn thing. Go to work, what I'm gonna do at work. I write extensive lists and I check things off. It helps me stay productive, and it helps me to every single day to live a certain program. One of the things that became very important to me was how I wake up. I have nightmares every single night. Nightmares about murder, nightmares about losing friends, nightmares that fuck me up. The days can be so intensely hard, and then when you go to sleep, you hope that that's gonna be your only refuge to just escape all the bullshit that exists out here, and then you go through the worst nightmares of your fucking life, and it's like you wake up the next day, and you didn't get any rest. You feel like you were in a battlefield all fucking night. You never get a rest from the mental torture, and weeks and months and years go by, and it makes you go fucking crazy. So for me, to be able to have a good night meant that I have to have a good day to start my day. Every day I have to start the day right. I still have nightmares. And what I do in order to get rid of that fucking anxiety that I wake up with, that trembling, crazy, triggered shit that I wake up with almost every single day, that does not serve me. I can't run a business. I can't run my other businesses. I can't be who I am when I'm in that mode. So what I do is I stay to a strict program in the morning. I wake up early, like a warrior. I wake up at 4 or 5 a.m. every day. It doesn't matter if I go to bed at midnight, then I guess I don't get enough sleep. I wake up early. I do my burpees, I do my push-ups, squats, that kind of thing. I read. One of the important things to me about reading in the first thing in the morning is what it does is it trains your brain to think in a different side. So when I wake up, I'm triggered, and I'm thinking about the dreams, I'm thinking about my life, I'm fucked up. So when I read a couple pages, a chapter in a book, and usually I pick books about spirituality, philosophy, religion, sometimes self-help, but some of these self-help books, if you've been down that aisle. Some of them can be stupid as shit, but I like to read that stuff. I like to learn. I'll read history, but I like to learn. So that's the side that I exercise. If you like novels again, I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but this is what I do. So when I read, it changes my thought process. It changes my brain chemistry in the morning. It makes me more calm. All of a sudden, after the chapter that I've read, I'm not thinking about the dream anymore. I'm not thinking about the old life anymore. I'm not thinking about how fucked up things anymore. I'm not in that weird mind frame. I've chemically and physically changed the neurological pathways, how your brain's like a fucking machine, how that shit's firing. You change it between the mind, body, and soul techniques. Personally, what I like to do after I read is I'll eat my breakfast and I absorb some of the stuff that I've read, and then I like to watch a couple videos on YouTube of motivational guys that I enjoy. And I'm not trying to say you need to do this. Some people think motivational videos are stupid. I like them. I can draw bits of advice that I can use from quotes, from motivational speakers, from books that I read. I draw it from everywhere. So I go through this same routine every single morning with and then I go and work out. I go to the gym and I work out and get a good workout, come back, I eat again, and then I'm ready for my day. It's probably at that time 8 o'clock in the morning or so, and I'm ready for my day. I'm ready to come to work. I'm ready to blast out my job, make some handlebars, make deals, whatever I gotta do, and I'm in a good frame of mind. I'm not triggered. I'm not fucked up from yesterday. I'm not living in this weird, edgy world. It has changed my life to start my day this way. So the video is getting way longer. 7 minutes ago I thought I was going to end this, and I got to end it somewhere because I know when I make these long videos nobody watches them. So I'm just going to end it here. And again, this is a topic I could talk for hours on, and it's something I know a lot about, and it's something I'm interested in, and it helps me to be successful and to function. So if you're interested in PTSD, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think, and maybe I'll make another one of these videos. This is Sky. This is Sky's World. Thanks for watching.